Work management platforms. Ugh, endless onboarding, IT bottlenecks, admin requests. But what if things were different?
We found love in an open space.
Monday.com is different. No lengthy onboarding. Beautiful reports in minutes. Custom workflows you can build on your own. Easy to use prompt-free AI. Turns out you can love a work management platform. Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
I knew that I wanted to get into this space, and I thought instead of just focusing on the commiserating and complaining, because I heard a lot of that, I thought I'm going to make my show a little more newsy, and I have 3 pillars to be illuminating, inclusive, and inspiring.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined with the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
Bree, we are coming off of some hard stuff both of us, we're coming off of vacations, but we're also coming off of an injury for you.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Yeah. And I have to say, I was in the ER just 36 hours ago.
Yeah,
so it's been interesting.
It's been an interesting time. Yeah. And when I was talking to you yesterday, painkillers are trouble.
Yeah, I'm okay. So for people in podcast land, first of all, let me back this up. We had our big annual Happy Mom Summit, and then you were on vacation, and then I overlapped with your vacation some too. So we hadn't really been around and done any work together for about 2 weeks, right? So yesterday was supposed to be our first day back.
Mm-hmm.
I, like I said, had been in the ER most of Sunday, and you knew that. So we were talking and everything. And I'm trying to convey a thought to her. And I could just tell by her, I'm like, I'm not making any sense, am I? And she's like, nope.
No, not making any sense.
Oh, pain meds. Oh, God. I've never had muscle relaxers or morphine, but let me tell you guys, it is interesting.
But to give the gentle segue into this episode, even though you didn't make any sense, we are going to be talking about mom sense
Yes,
today.
that does make sense.
And it does make sense. Yes. Our guest is Kanika Chadda-Gupta, and she's a seasoned television journalist, formerly with CNN International, podcaster, and mother of 3, including twins, who aims to give credit where it's often overlooked, the lasting impact of living your purpose and modeling that for the next generation, which we here at No Guilt Mom are all about. She hosts the popular podcast That's Total Mom Sense, where she interviews public figures on their life lessons, parenting journey, and legacy. Guests include Chelsea Clinton, Kelly Rowland, and America Ferrera. Her show has been ranked number 1 on Good Pods in the parenting vertical. Kanika has been recognized by No Women and JP Morgan Chase as 100 women to know in America, and has been featured in Forbes and on NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS, and Cheddar. You can learn more about her on her website and follow her on Instagram. We're going to put those show links for you down there in the show notes. And let's get on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Kanika, it is so fantastic to have you here on the show after getting to see you in person, running into you in New York through our friend Tara Clark. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Joanne and Bree. This is going to be so much fun. It's a joy.
I have really been following you and your career because you're a mainstay at the Mom 2.0 conference, which we've been going to for years. And I am just so fascinated with the work you've done and everything that you have achieved. But I want to take it back just to your beginnings, because you were born in Bombay and then you immigrated over to America at the age of 2. Do you have any memories during that time? Even though you were 2, I imagine that was a pretty big life event. It may have ingrained something in there.
Yes, I love that you did your research and you know this already. Yes, I have a photographic memory, so it's kind of amazing. Maybe 2 is a little too far back, but if I want to go back to when I was 6, I could just recreate the time, place, like what everyone was wearing. It's really amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of
There was a
cool.
book
I get to
series I
like,
read like that. It was called Cam Jansen, the book series with
hmm
the detective with a photographic memory. So that's always what I think of,
Ooh,
but
I
That's
have to check that out.
amazing.
it's for
Yeah,
kids.
it's
Yeah.
a superpower of sorts. When I was 2, through stories, my mom, my aunt, and my nanny, my grandma, and my dad, we all lived together in a flat or an apartment in Bombay in the city. And they said that I was super talkative. I spoke like 5 languages, which is really amazing. But it was English, Hindi, Punjabi, Gujarati, and Marathi, which are all different dialects in India. In addition to English, and I knew like who to talk to
Which
in
way?
which language.
Wow.
Yeah, and then my neighbors, they were like an elderly couple. So I would straight up run to their house, sit at their dining table, and have them feed me mangoes. I would just have like mango juice and pulp all over my face. So that's my earliest memory living in India. And another one is when my aunt, she was a flight attendant for, oh my gosh, like almost 40 years. She started when she was 19 and retired when she had to. And when we immigrated, she was on the flight. And that was another thing. I called her Neelam Masi. So Neelam is her name, and Masi means aunt in Hindi. And so as I was on the plane, I pointed to her and I was like, Neelam Masi, Neelam Masi, when I was like, about to sit in my seat. So that's another memory. So she helped me cross the waters, and I grew up in the States. But yeah, so many fun memories.
Wow.
That sounds amazing. And the fact that you were speaking that many languages at such a young age, did that continue for you being able to pick up languages and use them?
Yes, yes. I wish I was multilingual now. I'm not. I would say definitely fluent in Hindi and Punjabi, and I can read the script and write it. Conversant in French, un petit peu, and that's that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how when you teach kids at a young age, they're sponges, and the more that they're exposed to different cultures and languages, it's a skill that they have a knack for at that age for a reason.
Yep.
And it's harder for us as
Yeah.
adults to pick it up.
I always found it fascinating that the research has shown that if a child is introduced to and able to hear a language under the age of 2, they can pick up all the fine sounds of that language. But if they're not introduced to it until after 2, they will be really good at it, but they'll never be fully bilingual, have the sounds that a native speaker can have. The brain is just, whoa.
Fully fluent.
Ooh,
It's
yes,
an
yeah,
interesting
that's so
fact.
interesting. I love it.
Yeah. So you went to school for international relations,
Mhm.
and then you got into journalism and you interned at NBC. But at NBC, you then said on a whim, you moved back to India. Like, I'm curious, like, what is the whim? How do you just like, what opportunity did you have that led to that move?
Ooh, I love it. Okay, so I was at NBC in Miami, WTVJ, Channel 6, and it was just such a great run. I was part of the consumer investigative unit. So we were doing mortgage fraud cases and, all sorts of fun stuff, even murder cases. Like I was kind of thrown out there and covering everything out on the field with my reporter who I shadowed, Willard Shepard. And so Willard became one of my first mentors. And, when I was looking for my first job right out of my grad program, I had an opportunity at like the NBC affiliate in El Paso, Texas. And I was talking about it and I said, I can't see myself leaving and living there. I don't know a soul out there. And am I going to have to just do this small market thing and work my way up? Because I also was a little older. I was like 23. And I feel like that's like, older on the
Coming out
side of
of
television.
college, like being the broadcast
Yes.
journalism. Yeah, I know what you mean. Even though it's only 2 years, you're like, I'm behind.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm a
Y'all might
dinosaur.
need to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might need to explain that fact to me because I'm still like, that's a baby.
That's still, I know. Somehow it's those who knew to intern at the radio stations and the O&Os in their hometowns when they were in college, like they just got, to the bigger markets sooner and were at that ripe age.
Interesting.
So yeah, I was like, I don't want to have to like slog for another 5 years and then make it to like graduate to a bigger market like New York or something closer to home. I had a friend that was in India and she was a producer and she said, by the way, there are so many networks that are coming up here that are, it's just a burgeoning market for media. There's BBC, there's CNN, and there's Times Now. It's owned by Reuters. And so I recommend you come out here and try your hand at it. Now that you have this degree, you have like kick-ass like resume reel, see what's going to happen. And so I was just on my game and gave myself 1 month because I used to vacation to India every summer anyways, growing up to visit my aunt, the one who flew me, and then my grandmother. And so it didn't feel like a foreign place to me at all. And I thought, okay, this is my little graduation gift to myself to spend time with family and friends in India, but also on job hunting. I interviewed with CNN and after a few rounds, got the job.
That's awesome.
And I actually, I started as a producer and it's not what I wanted. I wanted to be in front of the camera. I wanted, the anchor position. But I think that, especially those who are entering the workforce, young people need to know that you got to pay your dues. And I was like, I will take it. I will take whatever they give me. And I spoke to the entertainment head. His name is Rajiv Masand. And I said, I always kind of envisioned that I would be a correspondent or, an anchor. And I just really want to be in front of the camera. Is there anything that I can do in addition to my role as producing the show? And he said, yeah, if you want to go out on the field, if you have anyone you want to interview, I like fully support it. Just make sure you're on your shift. And so my shift started at 2 and it ended at 10 p.m. And I was like, okay, so if I want to do interviews, then I have, from like 7, 8 a.m. to 1 to go out on the field and shoot. And then I work my actual shift. And I did that every day. So it was kind of double shifting.
Yeah.
But I loved it because I was accumulating another robust set of stories that they played out on the news wheel. And then just by like miraculously, the anchor who anchored the show that I produced, it was called Eat Tonight, she decided to quit. And it was about, 6 months in. And they were like, okay, so this new position has opened up and, it's up for grabs. Correspondence, whoever. Yeah, exactly. It was like, okay, so we had to audition for it. And then, my boss and a whole, slew of judges had to, go through these audition tapes and they chose me. And I was so happy about that because I earned it, but also I was a producer on the show. And I think that was another linchpin. They were like, she knows exactly what's going on in the rundown because she wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what's going to go at the top, like how to do the segues, everything. And then even the camera operators were like, we love working with her because she would do everything in one take. Because I also knew that it's like the producers and the editor in the control room, like they hate sifting through minutes and minutes of an anchor intro because the person just kept messing up. It's like, just know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
we're human. It's fine. But I would make it as seamless for them that it's like, oh shit, she did this in 1 take or 2 takes. And like, we're like actually ahead of time. And all of that came together. And then I became the anchor of the show.
Woohoo!
That's
Your own
amazing.
show. And how old were you when you got your own show?
That was, I guess, 24.
So there you go,
Yeah.
23 like behind everyone, and then 24 you have your own show.
Yeah.
Obviously the right move.
Yes.
Obviously.
And so the reason why we chose India also, Willard told me this, was like, it's just go for the global market because you'll get there faster. And if you are back to the, being bilingual or, your ability to like immerse yourself in other cultures. He said, go for where it's trending. And if in India, media and broadcast news is trending up, go there. So that was the other reason why I did it. I was like, okay, so I'm not going to go the traditional route.
That is sound advice. Well, we are going to time jump a little bit, Kanika, because you had this successful career, you had your own show, and then I want to hear when kids started to come into the picture, and we're going to do that right after this.
Work management platforms. Ugh, endless onboarding, IT bottlenecks, admin requests. But what if things were different?
We found love in an open space.
Monday.com is different. No lengthy onboarding. Beautiful reports in minutes. Custom workflows you can build on your own. Easy to use prompt-free AI. Huh. Turns out you can love a work management platform. Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
On average, you'll have to wait 31 days to see an OBGYN. And if you're dealing with an infection or outbreak, you know you need care fast. That's where WISP comes in. Connect with a U.S. licensed provider online and pick up safe, effective treatment at your local pharmacy that same day. Plus, get birth control and more delivered in all 50 states. Take control with comprehensive sexual and reproductive care, all from your phone. WISP. That's HelloWisp.com. The waiting room can wait.
That's your money saying it's time for a McDonald's run. Because with new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. Like buy a 6-piece McNuggets and add a McChicken for just $1. Your money says let's go. Get more than you expect with new McValue. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
So, Kanika, being super successful at your career from a pretty young age, I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, having your own show at 24 definitely qualifies you as super successful in your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who has no broadcasting experience, I would say that's a yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How did that transition go from having your own show? And I know some things happened in between, but then when kids started to come into the picture for you, like, how did that affect how you pursued your career and how you dealt with things also at home?
Yes. Okay. So I am very much quit when you're up kind of person. And I call it quitting because it's not quitting, it's pivoting.
Okay. Pivot.
But
Pivot.
yes.
Yeah, pivot. Yeah.
Because we're not like trying to fail at things here, but you have to iterate. So I knew early on when I was a young girl that I wanted two things. I wanted to be a television anchor because I saw that in Connie Chung and Oprah, and I was like, I want to do that. And then the second thing was to be a mom. And, there are times where like that's not mutually exclusive, and breastfeeding is not conducive to breaking news. So yes.
No, it's
Hold
not.
up. Nothing. Wait. Nothing can break right now. We've got a feeding in 5 minutes. So news world is going to just pause. That's not an option?
Yeah.
Not an option.
Yes, exactly. I know, right? So I planned ahead. And when I married my husband, Sunil, and we were family planning, it was even a little bit before that. And we were family planning for 4 years. We enjoyed our time, traveled, did our thing. It was at that time that I said, I'm just going to leave like the TV world. I'm ready to just plant my roots and have kids. And I know that I personally didn't want to have to juggle like both.
Yeah.
And so I started a digital marketing firm and I used all my skills in editorial and communication and like interviewing TV production and parlayed it into the digital space. And I helped clients do that with their online footprint. And that gave me autonomy. It's like, this is great. I get to make my own schedule and decide when I'm capped, how many clients I have in my portfolio and when I'm not. And then after I had the 3 kids, like even that was a journey. So I had an ectopic pregnancy at first, and that really threw us for a loop. I was just like totally heartbroken. And a friend of mine, Juhi Shukra, who's an OB, she helped diagnose it. So I really advocated for myself in the healthcare system. Was like, I need an ultrasound, and I think I'm having an ectopic, and let's deal with this. So after I recovered from that, a year later, I got the news that I was having twins.
Wow.
And it just felt like the best rainbow baby story or baby's story because it's what I always wanted. I really believe in manifestation. So I have a vision board, and at the time it had like a little parents magazine cutout of a pink baby booty and a blue baby booty. Right in the middle, it was like, okay, want this family to happen. And lo and behold, I gave birth to a baby girl and a baby boy.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just manifested. Shit works.
The manifestation piece of it is really interesting to me. Like, just to take like a little sidebar, is
Yeah.
like all the stuff that you've done so far in your career and in your life. Like, have you had a vision board? Have you manifested that stuff? And have you seen a direct like correlation to what you put on that vision board to what happens?
Absolutely. In many, many ways, I have to keep refreshing the vision board because things actualize and I'm on to the next photo.
I need to
It's
try
really, really
this,
cool.
Kanika. I need to try
Yeah,
this.
you have to do it. Yes. We'll work on this together. It's so, so fun. You have to like literally dig up magazines, but then there's also
know,
like
right?
vision boarding, you know,
Like
websites
Pinterest.
that'll help you. Yeah, exactly. And you could just, if there's something that you're looking for, if you want the next Netflix show, print out the logo of Netflix and slap it on your poster board. Whatever it is that you want to see come to life. Even this home, we just moved at the end of last year. And so there's a little story there too. But my kids, I have three, we had them in a special school and they loved the school. And it was almost an hour away from where we're living.
That is a long
So
commute.
I would spend at least 90 minutes going and coming with three kids in their car seats.
I feel that
in
pain.
my
Yes.
minivan.
I think
Yeah.
everybody just like did you hear that? It was a groan from every mom in the world
Yeah.
going,
Oh
"Poor
my
thing."
God. Thank you. I know it sounds like and I walked to school uphill both ways.
But it's
But
true.
it was hard.
It's
It was
true.
really hard.
That is a burden
Yeah, it was.
moms bear.
Yes, yes. And it was because we knew that, okay, eventually we're going to move to a town near the school,
yeah.
but it's going to take time to find the house first. So I found an agent and then I found the builders that we liked and all this stuff. And there was this one home that he showed us that the builder, it was already spoken for. They're like, this house is sold, but you can see it to see the builder's work. And I was like, done. Okay. I loved it. I was like, this is my dream home. I can't believe I'm walking these halls. I want this house, but it's already spoken for, so I can't have it. But I took a picture of it and I put it on the vision board. And now, 2 years later, my house looks exactly like it. Obviously, very different on the inside. I'm not like copycatting exactly what I saw, but the exteriors, we designed it. And my older son, Krish, pointed that out when we moved in here. We got the keys, moved in, and he said, Mama, it's just like the house on the vision board.
Oh, he realized that. That is awesome. So I'm seeing the pattern that you know clearly what you want, Kanika, and then you visualize it, putting it on a vision board and make it happen. Did anything like that happen when you started your current podcast, That's Total Mom Sense?
Yes.
How did that
yes,
go?
Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's important to have something subliminal and visual that you see because that's just putting it out there in the universe. And you're like, okay, it's something that I am noticing throughout my day. And then you actually have to put in the work. There's nothing around that. You don't just sit back and put your feet up. Then you're like, okay, we're all in, and I gotta be
You can't
relentless.
just look at the picture and be like, work done.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
There's some fairy dust. Make it happen. I did the same with the podcast. I started listening to Mom Brain in those early days when I was nursing my twins, and I had earbuds in my ears all the time, whether I was cleaning pump parts or had them on my boob. And I loved Mom Brain. I was like, this is such a fun show with Daphne Oz and Hilaria Baldwin. And I thought, I want to get into this space because it's very much long format interviewing and broadcast, but it's a little lower of a lift because you don't need to do it in the newsroom and it's more of an audio experience. Like, this is awesome. And I also feel like because I used to cover entertainment and lifestyle stories. Like in this phase of my life, when I had 3 kids in 18 months, like it was like my 1.5-year-olds and newborn, all I cared about was like the parenting stuff. I would talk to older moms, those who were 10, 15 years out. What's around the bend? Tell me everything, and then also like empathize with those who had kids my kids' age. So I was really in the thick of it and I thought I need to have a parenting show. Like this is it. I knew that I wanted to get into this space, and I thought instead of just focusing on the commiserating and complaining, because I heard a lot of that, I thought I'm going to make my show a little more newsy. And I have 3 pillars: to be illuminating, inclusive, and inspiring. And I wanted people to listen and feel like, okay, I've learned something. I'm going to do this little thing in my day. And it made me feel happier and made me a better person. And I wanted people to just step into the world like that after every single episode, whoever I had on. So that was
Love
the
that.
goal. And, mom sense, those words came to me when I was in the shower. I just,
Best thoughts, shower
of
thoughts.
course,
Yes.
of course.
Especially as a mom, that is where our best
Totally.
ideas come from. It's the longest period of uninterrupted time we
It's
have.
true.
Exactly. And it was like scalding hot water and I was alone and yes. And so, yeah, I just thought, it's so important for us to trust our gut and this inner voice of ours, which is our intuition, our mom sense. And we all have it. There's dad sense, there's auntie sense, there's kid sense. Everybody has their intuition. You really have to lean into it. And there's this psychologist who I follow, Erica Commissar. She's amazing. You should have her on your show too. And I can help set that up.
I would love any psychologist.
Yes.
I love. Yes.
And she calls, this motherly instinct, it's like the lost instinct. And so I've only discovered her after the fact, but I feel like it's really delving into that too. That let's trust our intuition and the fact that we actually know biologically what to do as moms. We don't need a book or a coach or somebody else to teach us. You just know from within. And so trust that.
Oh, I have so many questions to ask you and how fear plays into all of that and also how it relates to all the things that you have gone after and achieved in terms of like the time and how your mom sense relates to that. And we're going to get into that right after this.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
So, Kanika, you talk about mom sense, this internal knowing that moms have. A lot of moms out there in no guilt mom world are really doubting their mom sense right now because they know that there is a lot of fear also associated about like what we quote unquote should do with our kids. Like, how do you recommend finding your mom sense when you might be afraid of all the things that could go wrong if you go down a certain path?
I tackle this like a journalist. I think it's so important to do your data gathering and your recon and learn as much as you can from everyone around you. I think just the one-on-one exchange and advice is so important. And then the books, and consume all the social media content out there. There's tons of it. So yes, I do think that you start there, but then take a minute with yourself and think, what did I want as a kid? How did I want to be parented? Because more than likely, your kids have similarities to you and they want the same thing. So you get to reparent yourself when you have kids, which is great.
That's an interesting way to take it because, like, what did you find about yourself when asking yourself that question? How did you change your parenting in relation to how you were parented?
Yeah. Well, I actually faced this week. My older son isn't like me in many ways. I'm a full on extrovert. And he's yeah, way more introverted.
He's like, party at 2.
Introvert
Well,
over here.
party at 2.
Yeah,
You've got
woo.
that extrovert. Like, I feel like you're more extrovert than introvert, Joanne. But I do feel like you're a healthy
I'm an
mix of the
ambivert.
two.
Ambivert.
Yes.
Yeah. It's in
Ambivert.
there. But yeah, so when he comes out of his shell and he still like has close friends and can act like a goofball amongst his, close knit friends and things like that. So he's not like complete like shy and wallflower. But he had this presentation in his history class and he was totally frozen. And I got an email from the teacher and she was like, okay, so he ripped up his poster board and really doesn't want to give this presentation and it's so unlike him. And I don't know what's up, but we're here to support him and I'm actually letting him and everybody now take this poster board home that they were supposed to work on during class time only so you guys can like fix it and work on it. And the first thing I did was I actually reverted to how my parents parented me and messed up. And I had to catch myself. So I was like, why did you tear this up? And like, so he actually worked on it with me for 2 hours. I let him do everything. So I taped on some construction paper but most of it was like his handwriting and all of that. I wasn't like going to do his project for him. The next day on Sunday, which is right before it's due, he rips it up again. And I lost my shit. I
would
totally
too.
lost my
Yeah.
shit. Yeah. I was like, we worked so hard on this and it's due tomorrow and I can't believe you. And, it's just a presentation. It's really not a big deal. And I was doing all the stuff that you're like not supposed to say that my parents would have said to me too. And
it's what
I was
naturally
yelling.
comes out. Let's
Yes.
just be honest.
Yeah.
We revert back to what we know.
Exactly. And yeah, and I kind of like undermined the fact that I was like, this is like a small class and, you're in second grade and it's really not a big deal. You just have to just share a few facts. It was a Jeopardy game. I was like, you're not even having to read. Like, you just say like, oh, fun facts for 200. Like, just read the freaking card. It's really easy. And he just like looked at me like I was crazy, because I was yelling. I could see how he was just not feeling seen because he just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So then I took a moment. We actually watched some TED Talks and some YouTube videos.
That's awesome.
On public speaking. Yeah. And I was like, let's just diagnose this right here. And, we found that, I don't know the exact statistic, but like the majority of people actually fear public speaking more than death.
I've heard that.
Yes.
Oh my God, really?
I know. I know. And
as an extrovert, we're like, what?
Yeah, I know. That's so like
everybody's staring at me and listening to me. That sounds amazing.
Exactly. Where's the mic? Yeah, totally. So I said, you're not alone. And let's just tackle this. Like, write out your script on a piece of paper and we'll rehearse it a few times and just know that like, he just said like, oh, everybody's watching me. And I said, everyone in your class is actually worried about their own presentation. Nobody's watching you. They're rehearsing their own in their head while they're sitting in the circle time. Don't even worry about it. So that's how we reparented. So yes, instinctually, you're going to do exactly what your parents did to you. And then you're going to have to kind of reframe in the moment. And it's okay if you like mess up beforehand. But it's nice when you catch it because you're like, oh, see, I never got the redo. But he got the redo.
I got the first part, but I never had the option for the second part. I love what you're talking though about like the importance of, to go back a little ways, you were talking about that one of the things that you found when you first had your kids that was important was having other moms around that were further down the line, right? That had older kids. I always say every mom needs a mom friend of child future, ghost of child future. We always need somebody. Yes. The best thing I ever heard was I had a friend one time that told me I was stressing out massively about potty training.
Yeah.
Like my youngest was all on board for potty training. And then we had a mishap. Her brother peed in her potty and she was like, oh, I'm not touching it now. I swear to God, they're the same way still.
They're like 18 months apart though. So it's like not a
yeah. But like 16 and 17 now. And she'll still be like, he touched my stuff. I can't touch it now. But anyway, I digress. My friend who had kids that were in middle school at the time was like, I can promise you they're not going to go to college and still need to be potty trained. It'll all work out before they leave your house. And I needed someone to tell me basically to chill the heck out. So it'll happen.
It helps.
happen.
The chill the heck out.
Right.
Well, Kanika, like I love your perspective on parenting and especially the reparenting yourself and judging, like looking at your mom sense and seeing what feels right to you and how you would want to be parented and doing that with your kids as well as like everything you have about manifesting. I'm really going to take that because I so admire everything you've accomplished. And I'm like, I need a vision board now. Yes. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to make my vision board and I will post it somewhere and see and make things happen.
Oh my God. And tag me and share it with me too. I'm excited.
Yes, I will totally share it with you. You have a podcast series coming up that you're excited about. Tell us about that.
Yes. So this is a series with Meta, and it's called Parenting in the Digital Age. And though it's a very polarizing topic, I think we can't pull the wool over our eyes. We are in the AI generation. And so there's going to be screens and apps and games. Oh my. And we got to navigate it all. And so it's a 5-part series where we bring on some celebrities and experts, and we talk about parenting our kids in the modern day. And I think it's so important to exchange the stories and those little tidbits and tips. And then, of course, understand how to use social media as parents. I think one big way we can solve the problem of like too much screen time, and we all know the negative effects of it. There's no denying that. This hyper stimuli that they have to deal with. But when they are at an age that you feel like, okay, they can use this as a means to socialize, if parents have the tech fluency and are actually on the apps with their kids and bonding with them, then they're not as likely to go down the wrong path and, succumb to all things in the dark web. Mm-hmm. Because, mom and dad and the whole family knows what's what because we're all on here together. So I think that's what I want to encourage parents to do.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's a conversation every step of the way with your kids is like the guide for them. Like we here at No Guilt Mom talk about tech a lot, and we're very much of the way that tech could be really cool. Everybody needs to be educated about it, including the kids. And there's always an ongoing conversation when it comes to tech. So I'm looking forward to your series. It sounds like it'll be really awesome. Stories are better than all the maxims about no screen time or only 30 minutes a day.
Yes, exactly. So much more relatable.
So much better.
Okay, can I just say the whole 30 minutes a day thing? You were saying we live in the AI age. Our kids, I think all three of us can agree. The schools even are using the apps, right? So if you have a rule of let's say 30 minutes a day, how are you supposed to do that when your child's homework is to get on Kahoot or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And all of that. So I just think that there's definitely some re-education that we can do, and being involved as a learning lesson is huge.
Well, we're looking forward to that series, and we'll put the link in the show notes too, Kanika. And it has been a joy and a pleasure. I've so enjoyed getting to learn more about you and your life. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Joanne. And thank you, Bree. This was so fun. And I'm so glad that we had this chat.
So near the end of that interview, we started talking about parenting and tech. And Bree, I have a story for you that actually my parents told me about a very oversized reaction to parenting and tech. So my mom, she's recovering from knee replacement surgery. Mm-hmm. And she says the other night she heard all of this pounding outside, and she had no idea what the pounding was. And then the next day, police officers came to her door, and it was because somebody had ran their car into her neighbor's mailbox and then started beating the mailbox with a bat. And they wanted to know, and they wanted to know if my dad has cameras all over the house. They wanted to know if anything was caught on the cameras for outside. And so they dug a little bit more into this situation, and they know the neighbor, like they're friends with the neighbor. And what had happened is the neighbor always watches her grandson, who's 12. And unknowing to the mom, neighbor bought grandson a cell phone and a tablet. Mom lost it. First of all, this is a very outside reaction to tech, but it also illustrates how it's a very heated and polarizing topic tech is. So mom lost it. Her daughter lost it, came and smashed the tablet and the cell phone on the porch, and then went after the mailbox. And I was like, ho! And if anyone doesn't know, going after the mailbox is a federal crime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did she pick the mailbox? I'm like, dude, you could have like smashed up anything on the front porch and been in less trouble.
Just rage, I guess. But like, I mean, if people could go ragey over a cell phone and tablet, and admittedly, there's probably a lot more going on.
I'm going to guess there were other issues going on in that family, but that's.
Yes, but yeah,
still a big reaction.
Interesting.
There's a few people I would have loved to have gone crazy like that on, but luckily I always had the fear of jail in my head.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even say the fear of God. It's the fear of jail. It's the fear of jail.
Mm-hmm. No one wants to go there. But Kanika was a delight, and go check out her podcast series.
Oh my gosh, yes. And her guests that she has on it are amazing.
They're good. She told us. We can't tell you guys yet. We can't tell you. But maybe like.
But it's good guests. Very good
They're
guests.
good guests. Make sure you keep it in your radar. And remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You can also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.